So you're not old enough to have had a career of building hot rods, so is this your first one?
This is my full frame up hot rod build. Yes.
Yeah. So what have you built before?
A lot of late model vehicles. We would, when we were younger, we didn't have a lot of money, so my dad would buy a lot of salvage vehicels.
Okay.
And we would restore them. It allowed us to get into a more luxury model for pennies, or not pennies, but cheaper, right?
Yeah.
So, we've welded cars back together. We've replaced front cowls, and then we've also restored a lot of antique vehicles as well.
Okay.
But for me to have my hands on it with my skills and my fab, this is the first one.
So did you and your dad work on this, or just you?
It was just me.
Right on, dude.
Yeah. So I started the build in Calgary.
You can join in on this too. You might have some insight that he's not going to share.
Yeah. So it probably would have been a family affair had I been on the East Coast, but we started this in Calgary, where my wife and I were living at the time, and then we moved here with her job.
Okay.
And then so we transported the car. It got to a rolling state, and then we continued the build and finished it here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So when did you start it?
Got the body in 2015.
Yeah.
And then started building it 4 years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess that would have been October 17. So whenever I started building it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you finished it at
the beginning of summer.
Okay.
Yeah, so I finished it in June. So about 3.5 years is what it really took.
So what's the donor?
The donor is a 94 Ram 2500 with the 12 valve Cummins diesel on it.
That's great.
And we took as many influences as possible. That the rear end is out of the truck. Basically the drivetrain is out of the truck, and then everything else is not. The hitch on the back, that's from the truck, and the tow hooks up front are from the truck as well.
No way.
Just to kind of keep a little bit. I wasn't going to do Dodge tow mirrors on this, but try to keep a little bit of truck influence on it.
Well, and it saves money if you already have the stuff, right?
That's
You don't have to. Yeah. The sound system, I'm assuming, is insane.
Yeah, it actually is pretty crazy. You probably never did hear it, but I can fire it up for you later.
Yeah. Before I go.
Yeah.
So what's under the hatch?
So underneath the hatch here, you have the rear end. Okay. This is the air tank. Underneath the air tank is a more vertical fuel cell. Okay. I know you're like a lot of pickup trucks. They got pretty much like a flat bottom type one. Yeah. But this one kind of sits more vertical, and it's underneath here. So I tried to recess the tank as far down as possible. Right. But with a triangulated 4-link, cantilevered airbags, battery, dry shaft, air compressors, linkages. There wasn't a lot of room left, so that's why the battery is a little taller, and this sits up a little higher as well. Okay.
It's funny because I was taking a picture of this thinking that, and I realized there was 4 nozzles coming out, but I was thinking, oh, that's cool. That's the gas tank.
Yeah.
The fuel tank, he's got 4 nozzles. That's sort of neat. And then
David Hoare thought it was the fuel tank as well, and he wasn't going to pass it because you said you're not allowed to have the fuel cell in the cabin with you.
Yeah, well, guess what? I've seen lots of
I know.
The fuel cell is in the cabin with you. And to be honest, like this goes right underneath it. So that's cool.
And I even had to weld the filler neck. Had to pull the filler neck back and re-weld it just to clear, like you see there.
Yeah, so you can get a nozzle into it.
And then all the trunk panels are on Zeus clips because in the event of an air failure, you're not getting underneath it to fix your failure. So you got to go in at it from the top.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And so did you patina the metal yourself? Like, did you treat it with something, or was it?
The interior weathered for like a year, and in Calgary because we just didn't have the room.
Right.
It was like shiny, fresh, brand new steel, and then it unfortunately started to patina. But then I took the wire wheel to it and polished it the best I could, and then clear coated it.
No, it's wicked.
I started grinding down my spot welds, and then it didn't really look that good. So I started actually leaving my spot welds, and it actually started looking better to the point where I actually measured out every spot weld so that everything is symmetrical. You see these chevron lines? These chevron lines actually flow right into the next panel.
No way. You're like the guy that did the tile in our bathroom.
Yeah, so even this chevron flows right into the battery.
Oh, shit. Dude.
Yeah.
You're my type of type A.
and then even your trans tunnel lines
Yeah.
flow into the floor panels
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
That's wicked.
Yeah.
So you built. So when you got the car, did you have to do any body metal, or was it okay?
I did a 4.5-inch chop because the vehicle was completely untouched, and then a 3-inch channel, so that the body would just sit over top of the frame.
But you didn't have to replace any panels.
I didn't have to replace any panels. No.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But you had to completely build this.
Yeah, I had to cut the original floor out, which was in amazing condition for 91 years old, 92 now. And I went through so many zip discs because I didn't have a plasma at the time just to cut the original floor out, which was so solid, being that old. Which is, I know, just a testament to the out west. No humidity, no salt.
No salt. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you pull it out of a farmer's field or out of a barn?
This body came from a farmer in Medicine Hat.
Okay.
He transported it to a swap meet in Lethbridge. I went down to Lethbridge looking for a Model A two-door.
Okay.
And they only had 2 coupes, which were primed. They wanted $8,000 a piece for the steel bodies.
Right.
No chassis, no nothing, just the bodies. This was over in the corner of the expo, covered up by OSB and cardboard. And my friend said, "Come take a look at this. I think I found something." And even the for sale sign was just faded Sharpie. And then I got in behind the booth, checked everything all over, and I said, "I think I can do something with this."
Right.
And then over the few hours, I got the creative juices flowing, and then I said, "You know what? I'm pretty sure I actually can do something with this." And I made an offer, and I bought it from him.
Cool.
We didn't.
What is it?
It's a 1930 Plymouth 30U.
So it's Mopar from the get-go. So is this original too?
That is not original. I do have the original sun visor. It is a tilt down. However, when I did my chop, the tilt down wasn't going to work anymore.
No, because you couldn't see out of it.
No, and I actually had a fair amount of body metal up here, so I cut that out to raise the view, and then I made a replica sun visor, which is a straight out sun visor.
Yeah,
So the original one actually looks a lot like this with the same bead
Right.
and the same patina, but it actually just tilts down.
That's cool, man.
And then it does have bolt-on fenders, which are also bead rolled and green for the patina, but that's more for DOT whenever I go. I don't particularly want them, but for the regulations
Yeah, so does DOT ever...
Nobody has ever given me issues on this one so far. Once it was safety and on the road.
So you must have had an engineer look at it.
Yeah, David did it through COVID and stuff. So there's a lot of text, emails, videos, snapshots, photos, that kind of stuff. The only experience I had with the police so far was our neighbor, who is a police officer, flashed his lights to me on duty, and I didn't recognize him, so I got scared. And then he sent me a text.
Hid in the Princess Auto parking lot.
Yeah, and then he sent, and I waited for him to come back and pull me over, but I wasn't pulled over on the side of the road. I pulled into a parking lot to be safe with everybody, right? And then I waited and I waited and I waited, and then my phone, I got a text saying, "What are you doing in Dartmouth?" from my cop friend who was on duty, and he got mad at me because I didn't wave to him, but I didn't recognize him. That's why he flashed the lights, because I didn't wave at him.
That's too funny, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What else is
There's no real theme to it.
Oh, so yeah. So was a rat rod, like when you were standing there looking at it at the swap meet, were you like, yeah, this is rat rod?
Yeah, it was from the get-go. It was going to be a rat rod. That's what I wanted. I wanted one for about the last 7-8 years. I wanted a rat rod. I wanted something that nobody has ever seen. My family traditionally is chrome and shiny.
Right.
And I'm not opposed to that either, but they're take it apart, sandblast it, paint it, put it back together the way it was. Right. And for me, I'm too creative. So
this is creative, dude.
Once I was able to hone my own fabrication skills in welding and math and get the whole frame together, it was
So did you build? Oh no. But you chopped up the frame. The frame's not from the Dodge. The drivetrain is.
It's a homemade frame.
It's a homemade frame.
It's from the ground up frame. It's HSS tubular chassis, like the whole thing.
I'll make sure you add that to
Build sheet.
the build sheet.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
couldn't. I tried. I looked at the original frame, which I had. I would have had to box it and then cut it and hack it so many times that it didn't really seem
Yeah.
solely practical.
And it wouldn't be as beefy as this either.
No,
This is-
the original one would not have been, because once you got to the front, I needed something beefier. Coincidentally, whenever I was looking at the truck frame, up here was good, but then back here wasn't going to accommodate anything. The frame was too thick. It was
okay,
too
yeah.
too beefy of a frame to fit in the dimensions for a 1930 car.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had a friend who builds a couple of race trucks here in Nova Scotia. He's an older man. He gave me a few pointers, and then I built up the confidence, and I just started. Yeah.
That's cool. That's great.
And then I lined up everything, squared up everything. Everything was tack welded before anything was solid welded, and
Cool.
yeah, it's a straight and true frame. I've measured and remeasured
Okay,
diagonally.
yeah.
And
Well, you've
about every angle you
your
can.
chevrons are all lined up, so I'm assuming your frame's pretty tight. So I have to ask. I mean, one of the things that drew my attention when I saw the picture at the car show was the diesel. There's not a lot of diesel ones in Nova Scotia, but the tires. I have to admit, like when I've seen some rat rods with what essentially are off-road tires and off-road rims, and I thought, that's not my thing. But when I saw this,
It's different, eh?
they're perfect.
Yeah.
So, but so was that in your head? Like, were you like, I'm gonna make this look like they could rock climb?
Yeah, that was the goal. I wanted it to basically look like it could be in a Mad Max film. Like I wanted something that just was aggressive, that just made a statement anywhere it went. I knew I did want new wheels and tires, so that was an expense that I didn't mind doing. I had these on my. I actually took them off my pickup truck, one tire off my pickup truck, and rolled it in front of the body. And I said, "This is a good proportion." I still got the
He's
photo.
a creature of habit.
I got a photo. I have a photo of my Ford F-150 wheel and tire combo rolled up beside this, while my Ford stays on jack stands because I have to roll it back so I can drive the next day. And then the search. Then there was the search for the rim. I'm not a big fan of aftermarket rims, just my personal preference. But I wanted something that paid homage to like the old style kidney bean wheels.
Yeah.
But also was a modern, aggressive wheel.
This is crazy.
And then the wheels, even whenever they came in, I said my accent color is going to be copper. Copper looks good against green. But I said, in the event that's not going to happen, the wheels come in machine gray, black, or bronze, which they didn't have in Canada at the time.
Right.
And I said, well, let's try bronze. And if bronze doesn't work out, we'll sandblast them down and powder coat them.
Right.
When they came in and I rolled them up beside, I was like, yeah, this is the color. And then
When you
everything else I powder coated myself and wrapped to match the bronze accent.
Cool.
Yeah.
So is the frame powder coated too then? Or just
The frame's not powder coated.
But
The wishbones are.
Yeah.
And then I made the inserts for the wishbones as well.
Okay, cool.
And then powder coated those.
Yeah.
All my mirror brackets, the wiper motors, roll bar, headlights and taillights, they were all chrome accented. And then I powder coated them the bronze.
Cool.
Fuel wouldn't give up their trademark color. They wouldn't even respond to me actually. So I actually had to order 20 swatches and hold it up to the rim and pick the closest one and then go and order that powder.
Particular.
Is there something that is there something that stands out that you're like, I want people to know this?
I don't know. I guess for me, I want them to know that it's a homemade frame and.
Yep. Well, I'll make sure of that.
This was all a solo build. There was no help. There was no 80-year-old guru to tell me how the front ends of these things go together. There was no.
Jesus.
A lot of YouTube videos.
I built a shed like that. But...
There was a lot of forums. There was a lot of research to be done. I had to redo the whole front axle just because the suspension geometry just wasn't working. I was getting incredible bump steer, but there was nobody to tell me how these front ends go together to get a smooth ride out of everything. So, it pretty much is just I'd say I redid about 15% of the car because the first attempt didn't work out.
You just weren't happy with it, yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't really.
Well, you want it to be safe, right? You wanted to make a statement, but you're not going to trailer queen it.
Yeah.
And you want it to be safe. So
Yeah.
no, that's
And
cool.
I just, people always say about haters gonna hate. Well, I was told so many times that this thing will never be on the road, or also, why would you build something like that? And I was like,
Well, because
because I
it's going to
can.
be in a magazine.
And I was like, because I can.